It's too big not to dig in. It's got a huge amount of heaviness for world events. I don't know what Pam Gregory can possibly say about it. She's trying to be positive. If you're talking world astrology, I don't think it's positive. I'm going to show you the sky, and we're going to talk all of our signs, and we're going to really go like this, because it's really about the world that makes it difficult. You are not a Medusa. You are not a detonation. You are not a bad thing. You are just a person.
Lunatic astrology.
We have a Taurus new moon happening on May 16th on a difficult star called Algol. Add to that star, we have a square to an asteroid that has to do with the keeper of time and fated events that must be surrendered to for the collective. On top of that, we can add a little bit of juice from a few other asteroids, and we'll be talking about an interesting time ahead. Sadly, the Taurus lunation on this star Algol, it will be happening at 25, almost 26 degrees of Taurus, is known to be calamitous when it comes to world events. And so in our astrology today, for those of you who like world astrology, I will briefly touch on those factors. I will tell you the overview of what may happen. For deeper dives, please consider subscribing to my Substack or following me on Patreon or somewhere else where I can be a little bit more free, or my members only community here. But for you and me and the world, Taurus, right? Algol, the star, decapitation, Medusa, stories to do with disenfranchised and villainized females who are actually the victims. So we might get a e-file stuff out of that, but also just a vibe. It's a vibe of, bodies and corpses and stuff. And I know one's going to want to watch this video because I started with the heavy stuff. Can I find a silver lining here for the world and for each of us? Yes, kind of, sort of. But the silver lining that I'm seeing is just that Jupiter is in a flowing relationship to the moon, and he's exalted. And we would call that energy between the Cancer and Taurus sky a sextile, and it could potentially soften the blow or make it a little bit less daunting. I'm going to be showing you the sky, showing you where these minor asteroids are all hitched up, and making some suggestions about it. Big players in the crosshairs of the moon for the world astrology are the following people, places, and things: Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, the country of IL in the Middle East, who's at war with all of its neighbors, perhaps even Erica Kirk, a Leo rising. There's a lot going on there for those folks, and it's very, very intense for both Vance and for Trump off this Algol activation. Now, Algol, we've seen it around before. Everyone's used to it. It was a star that was activated in Butler, Pennsylvania, when Mars and Uranus set on Algol and squared the ascendant of Donald Trump. It can be something like that. There's a possibility that something like that could occur again. I know, I hear you. Didn't we just have that at the press dinner thing? Did we? Or did we have a mock-up? Because in ritual magic, just like a homeopathic remedies are like cures like. There is a way to remedy a bad thing that could happen in your life by giving yourself a lesser version. So like say a Mars thing, like say you've got something going on with Mars, like Mars can burn you, Mars can cut you, Mars can cause accidents. So you just give yourself a minor version of it. You decide to pinprick your finger, scald your hand, or whatever. And then you can avoid the larger thing, like a multi-vehicle collision. Now, I'm not suggesting you try to hurt yourself in order to get Mars to lay off off being mean to you. But I'm saying if you know that the occultists of the world know how to mock up or make a version of something much more powerful and deadly that could occur to mitigate the actual thing happening, like kind of a dry run or a dress rehearsal that takes away the real thing, then that's possibly what we see in things like what happened at the press dinner. All right. I'm just saying a lot of us have, a vibe there that maybe it wasn't all what it seemed, but we don't know for sure. And I'm not about to speculate. This is not the Candace Owens Show. This is Lori Lothian at Lunatic Astrology, and welcome. In today's show, we're going to talk about your sky, how you can deal with or help yourself with this intensity of a new beginning on a Taurus moon. I will briefly cover some world stories. I will be doing another video more dedicated to that. So stay tuned for the more dedicated world astrology video on this moon. It's too big not to dig in. It's got a huge amount of heaviness for world events. And I don't want to belabor that. I want to talk about your sign. I know nobody wants to watch a video now because you're thinking heavy duty. My worst fear is something that brings panic and pandemic energy. Now, I don't think it's pandemic, but the asteroid Pan is conjunct the new moon. And Pan is like where people panic, right? Hysteria, panic. And in conjunction to two asteroids, Volcano and Hephaestus, which have to do with armaments, and especially large scale armaments like the thunderbolts of Zeus, and a connection to the nation, the wasp nest nation called Il in the Middle East, who's basically like taking everyone's land and, whatever. You know what I mean? And that nation's very involved in this whole Hephaestos energy, the sun of that nation in Taurus, pretty close to the Algol star for decapitation, rotting bodies, and all of that. When I add all the other stories I'm seeing in the sky, although Pramzeus is involved, a Lithuanian deity that has to do, or is it Lithuanian, to do with fated events that cannot be changed. There's also a lot going on with that too. Like, so if something calamitous happens, like there is a weapon of MD launched at by one country towards another. If that was to happen, and the only one I could think who would launch it would be IL, then in that case, that's what we're dealing with. I hope not. I really do. It's just a very dark sky. The other one would be the meaning of Algol is decapitation, So decapitation is a code word for ASS, a nation, right? And it's a way that, for example, certain countries, but in particular, operates. They like to do their policy to just decapitate leaders of the world that they don't like. That's it, decapitate. Generals, scientists, world leaders, just keep on decapitating. Yeah, and that's the thing that the decapitation star brings. And Donald Trump was almost decapitated. Butler, Pennsylvania. Was it staged? Was it real? Was it a threat? Who knows? All right. So today's video, we're talking about this particular lunation. I don't know what Pam Gregory can possibly say about it. She's trying to be positive. And I really don't know what, like, some of those new age types who look for the luminous and the rainbows and unicorns can say about it either. Because if you're talking world astrology, I don't think it's positive. The other thing is that Algol is within a few degrees, less than a couple, of the sun of the New York Stock Exchange. New York Stock Exchange in Taurus, sun Algol highly activated on a new beginning Taurus New Moon. It's not a bad thing to have a Taurus New Moon on the New York Stock Exchange sun, not particularly. It's just that it's doing a lot of other things in the sky in particular, and it's a void, of course, moon. The moon is not making any other aspects to any other planets before it leaves the sign of Taurus after the moon is exactly full, a few hours later. And this is indicating that this moon is also kind of like, if you're going to do something purposeful and avoid a course moon, I'd say don't. But it also is therefore kind of a weakened moon. So the moon is making any aspects to any other planets from its sign-based position. The moon has already talked to Jupiter just before going full. So in other words, it's had a convo with Jupiter. Now it's going into the new beginning, but it's having no conversations in the immediate aftermath as it exits Taurus, before it exits Taurus. So there's something like the moon being a little bit rogue or feral or doing its own thing. And like, F you world, no other planet's telling me what to do, because I'm going new and I'm doing my thing. And so what you think about rogue or feral or out of control or not consulting anyone else, the moon is not consulting anyone else. So the world event stage looks like someone's not consulting anyone else, going rogue, doing their own thing. And that can be a little bit like a maverick sometimes, or it can be a little bit scary, like feral energy. All right. So today, then, we're going to start off with Aries, and we're going to move all the way from Aries to Pisces. And I'm just giving you the idea, the gist of the moon. This is not going to be one of my longer videos, but it will hopefully be useful and helpful for you to delineate how you can deal with this particular lunation. It's not like you haven't had a new moon around 25 degrees of Taurus ever before in your life, and we've all lived to tell the tale. Algol as a star won't impact us individually as much as the world. It will impact you individually. Let's say if you have any planets on Algol, like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, both having their Venus on Algol. Algol is a star of alcohol too, and addiction as well as decapitation and darker stories. So when those two were together and we had to go through that trial, it's kind of funny. At one point, Amber Heard had her hair all done up like this, and she had it all in a kind of a wavy thing. And several commenters said she looked like Medusa with snakes in her hair. You can't make that up. Her Venus, just like Johnny Depp's, is sitting conjunct the same star. So If you have planets near 25 degrees, I'm going to give you 3 degrees on either side. You might be close enough to Algol, where Algol stories play out in your life. There's a lot of people who live with that star all of their life. It could bring you some wealth. It's a bit of a wealth magic star, part of the Bohemian magic set. But it can also cause problems. It's also known to cause blindness. And my sister has that on her, my youngest sister, on her son, and she is legally blind. So, if you were born with it, you've been dealing with it all your life. If you've got anything next to it natally, sun, moon, rising, Jupiter, I'm not going to delineate that here for what do you do if you got your sun on this star? But it might be a fun series of videos to create for you guys that are evergreen, which is like what to do if you're born with your XY, all the 7 traditional planets on Sirius, on, Algol. I would do that star on Vega, beautiful star. So yeah, that'd be a fun series to pull off. If you're interested in that kind of what if a planet's on a star series for your sign, let me know. All right. So guys, let's get going. Well, it's not even for your sign, just if your planet's on a star. It's been a long day dealing with some really heavy stuff off stage right now. And so bear with me. I love you guys. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Those of you who haven't and watch me all the time, when you consider giving me a try on the subscription button, cost you nothing. You can always unsubscribe. And if you want to get more notifications when I put stuff out, please do. I'm a teacher. My Divine Timing Masterclass has started already, 5 weekends in May, but you can a la carte book into one of the later classes that hasn't come up because they're intermediate to advanced astrology, divine timing tools, basically precision timing astrological techniques for the advanced beginner and the intermediate student, live with me with 2 Q&As a week, all the information in the description box below. Now, I'm going to show you the sky and we're going to talk all of our signs and we're going to really go like this because it's really about the world that makes it difficult. You are not a Medusa. You are not a detonation. You are not a bad thing. You are just a person. Before I actually completely go into the story for all signs, I will show you. Yes, I will. I will show you this. The stars usually impact the world events. And if you have an access to that star conjunct by a planet, not trine or sextile, to conjunct a star, then it's important for you. But otherwise, stars are about the big picture story for the global collective humanity shift narrative. All right. So don't be scared of Algol. For Donald Trump, Algol was on his midheaven, right? So a very sensitive point. He's born to experience potential decapitation. This is the sky. And this is what you need to see. Panic right here. Pan, the god Pan, forest god. But it can represent pandemic and panic. I don't think it's a pandemic, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right. So we have the pan button there, panic button there on a new moon on the New York Stock Exchange. Well, if you have a panic button on the sun of the New York Stock Exchange, wouldn't it maybe be possible that you're going to have a massive sell-off? So if that's possible, stay clear, be careful around this lunation of May the 16th, up to 2 or 3 days before and at least a week or two after. But the closer to the moon you are, the more likely you're going to see some consequences of it. Then the other part of it is, this is the armorer of the god Hephaestus, who made the thunderbolts for Zeus. He basically was a weapons manufacturer, okay? We have that energy here as well. So we can involve flying kinetic devices that cause harm with this new moon in Taurus places in the sky. Any kind of kinetic device, and kinetic, meaning moves fast and it can hurt you. I don't think people are throwing knives, if you know what I mean. So who could be harmed? Anybody with a high position in the sky in Taurus, the son of Israel, which means, I said that damn name of that country. The leadership of that country can be harmed or decapitated off of this lunation, bit before, bit after. J.D. Vance and both Donald Trump have midheaven close, mostly it's more tighterly close to this degree for Donald Trump, decapitated from power or some other situation. And you guys can think of any other major Taurus figures that have degrees late in Taurus like this, let me know. Joe Biden's early Taurus, like first 5 degrees. I don't think that's about him. Okay. Memory serves me. I do think maybe Prince Charles, whose sun is at late Scorpio, might be having a moon here as well. So we'll look for that as well. Now, look, the thing is that Jupiter, well benefic, has already been talking to the moon, consorting with the moon as the moon gets ready to enter into the sun and become invisible. So it's already had a conversation with a benefic planet. And, Jupiter's been hanging out for a week or so with Wuhan. And Wuhan, yes, was the source of a pandemic. It's also a story of revolution and revolutionary stories, right? Like it has to do with a revolution and a coup, taking down an emperor in the story of Wuhan and ancient emperor overthrows. So there can be an overthrow of a king or an emperor or a revolutionary energy connected to this story as well. And the nation of Il in the Middle East has its leadership energy in Cancer because that's the 10th house of the country. Possibly too, because it's eerie to see Wuhan here and also Pan, which can be a code for pandemic. We may see a surge of something that's being announced, news, Mercury, as a threat. Right? And that can cause panic too, right? So pandemic, because it's panic, right? Pandemic comes from the word pan, like global, but it's funny because people panic when there's a pandemic. So there can be some weird news story emerging that we should all duck from some new dangerous pathogen. That wouldn't put it past me on this new beginning, new moon. Every new moon, although it gives you the evidence within a day or two or three after, every new moon will even unfold a narrative that runs 6 months. So for the New York Stock Exchange, it looks turbulent to me. All right. I think it's going to be turbulent. That's my gut. All right. And over here is Characlo. And Characlo is about unconditional love or non-judgmental love. I know. I shouldn't try to do Pam because I don't have the right accent, but she loves Characlo. And yes, unconditional love squares this new moon from We the People, Aquarius. This is also the sign of China and it's rising. And yet at the same time, we have this over here, fated events that are determined to happen no matter what. I'll read Premzeus for you, just because it's not a common asteroid. Conjunct America on the ascendant of Donald Trump, on Mars of Donald Trump. Close to J.D. Vance's ascendant as well. A Lithuanian deity, Premzeus is the omnipotent ruler of time, the inescapable fate. His decisions were written in stone, and all of the creatures had to obey him. So it's about searching for universal laws to draw upon in decision-making, becoming aware of those events that were fated. Now, because Premzeus is sitting here with Asteroid America and Premzeus are squaring this sun. Again, New York Stock Exchange, Trump, Vance, leadership of Israel, main targets for what this might be about. All right, to say something positive about this, I'm going to tell you is difficult for the world, right? For your sign, I'll find something happy. But for the world, it's gnarly. It is. And I don't even know if some of my colleagues have done anything on it yet, such as one of my favorite colleagues who's on my channel quite a bit over the years, Dan Waits, right? A World Astrology Report. He will be using the lunar shadows technique for this and telling us what happened. I use the same tool myself, but this is an early video, well before the moon. I'm recording on April 30th, 2 weeks in advance. I'll be doing a follow-up video as World Stories galvanize us, and I'll then bring you into the Lunar Shadows tool as well and what it might suggest. Today was supposed to be all about you. Please like and subscribe. Even if you don't like dastardly world stories, at least you know what to look for. And I'll give you my best advice I can personally. Again, Algol is a star for people who have tight placements to Algol, like they're midheaven on Algol, right? Or their sun or their moon or the rising or then any planet even, like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. So you got the gist of Algol. I don't have to belabor it. Bodies and rotting corpses, pan and panic. Okay. If it's not a pandemic again, then it's going to be an event that causes panic and death. Okay. Sadly, maybe involving weaponry. Oh, Volcano is in here too. I think I forgot to put Volcano in, but just trust me, it's all happening. Okay. I guess I better do it. Let's put Volcano in. I just wanted not to miss one of the asteroids that could tell us a little more detail about where these manufactured devices that cause harm are coming from. You know what I mean? Like who's got them, which country's lobbing them at whom. Looks to me like Volcano, like an exploding volcano here at 25 degrees of Pisces. Okay. In a sextile to Algol and Hephaestus is over here too. Goodness gracious, what could that be? The moon will be at 25, by the way. I just moved back in time to get the Aries. I'm really pondering why this is a Pisces volcanic energy, right? And who does it really impact? From Donald Trump's natal ascendant story, for example, like what could I make sense of in that regard? Well, it does exist in his 8th house of death. So, you never know. There can be a shot, a sort of a, okay, who's not doing well. And a volcano also squares a female Venus, a volcanic eruption or difficult or shocking or volcano-like Hephaestus rules weaponry, and connected to Venus and Gemini, which I could say could be a female figure. This is the house of open enemies for the United States, Gemini. A Venusian country, a big Venusian country is Libra rising, nation of Il in the Middle East. Okay, let's just leave that for now. This country is not the friend of anybody, let alone America. Sorry, guys. Unsubscribe if you like. I'm just taking the majority position. Donald Trump, by the way, his ratings tanked to all-time historic lows, even for any president, let alone himself. His poll numbers for approval are really low. The most common reason is, of course, the situation with the Middle East, especially with Iran. So, we're living in weird times. Let's see what goes on. Volcano explosions, eruptions, real volcanoes near seashores and water. So Sicily, Etna, what's the other one? Any of the Hawaiian volcanoes, the volcanic rim. Okay, all of that, which causes earthquakes, to be noted, to be paid attention to. Coming off this moon, Algol can bring earthquakes, right? And usually it's a Uranus energy that will trigger that. And Uranus has moved out of the sign of Taurus, but is still within kind of breathing range by degree of that star. So we still might not be out of earthquake harm. Check out Stefan Burns for his latest on that stuff. The guy's always on it. Got to respect the hard work he does. All right. So Aries, sun, moon, and rising, we are going to your story. Sun, your career and purpose. Moon, your feelings and thoughts about life, but also your nest and home. Rising, your simulation avatar in the game. The sun is your game player. The rising sign is the avatar. Let's get started. Well, you've lived through this kind of lunation before, right? We all have. We even had lunations like this attended to by eclipses. There may be something going on with wealth here, and it can be positive because this is a Bohemian star that was used in the Middle Ages for wealth magic. So it has a lot of handle with care, don't burn yourself or don't, it's kind of, okay, some wealth magic here. Hope it doesn't backfire. There's a great story in the Middle Ages of it backfiring, but with a famous guy in his Algol themed mural or mosaic or whatever that was built for his house. Anyway, it did backfire on him. So, but you can get some money here. You can get some wealth out of this. All right. And Mercury would be the news or the information. However, because we have kind of the panic button here, a pan, it is possible you should be careful with your money here. Like all Aries rising in particular, be careful with your money. Do not do something reckless with money. If you have too much in the markets, be cautious. There's something about you might feel like a bit of a bank run on your own money. So be careful around financial panic as an Aries rising in particular, less so for sun and moon. Okay. So keep that in mind. The other energy is Venus is ruling Algol and she's trying to give him some instructions, but she's also in an aversion. It could be a carryover nonetheless. That Venus will translate the money stuff into the third house. So a volcanic eruption in a surge of income, yes, only if you're doing third house things. You're writing, you're communicating, you're marketing and selling, that kind of stuff. Uranus go viral, right? Takes one viral hit. I actually went viral on TikTok. You make no money over there, but it's kind of funny that something I did went viral recently. And and I know why astrologically. This, though, could be if you're a social media beast, online, writing, marketing, teaching, selling, websites, all that stuff. Yeah, something you do could have a sudden surge of a volcanic rise of internationally to distant shores and lands. And yes, you could have an income surge. Panic and pandemic, though, that doesn't have to be panic. The pan is a green man of the forest. He has to do with kind of ecstatic ritual. And you might be feeling ecstatic about this surge of money. And Mercury is, of course, the information and news and the commercial guy himself, like commerce and barter and trade. So there could be a nice little money surge for some of you. I just would be careful at the same time that you don't do anything risky with your money around this time by intention. All right. And before the moon went into its voided course position, it was chatting with Jupiter, who is a benefic. So it kind of goes into the conjunction, feeling good about something, right? Feeling like, yeah, fated events that are meant to happen in the house of good fortune. Well, you could win money, right? This is like lottery wins and stuff. But this can also be fated events that are meant to happen vis-a-vis romantic love and children and money. Okay, so keep that in mind too. All right, and I don't know if I have much. I keep saying all right. I gotta stop saying that. Characlo, unconditional love, a non-judgmental love, healing, beautiful energy, connected to your friendship groups and circles. I'd say there's a lot of friendship group circle energy that's trying to make its way to you to support you in some fundamental way, including people in positions of power reaching out to be of assistance and help to you in the wake of this moon. What about Taurus? Well, you've been living with this star in your sign forever. So therefore, do you have any major placements here? What do I mean by that? Do you have a sun, moon, or rising or midheaven in Taurus? You're going to really feel this star lifelong, especially if that star, which is around 26 degrees of Taurus, is in a range of your sun, moon, and rising. So 3 degrees before and 3 degrees after, for sure. You're feeling that star lifelong. We can assess the situation, sun, moon, and rising Taurus, as there's a potential you losing your head. Normally, when it's in your sign, especially the risings or the sun, it could be losing your head about career or getting decapitated from your job, getting fired, or your division closes down, or the boss is quitting the job and you get the position of someone above you. Decapitation energy for Taurus sun. They can actually work in your favor professionally. Decapitation energy for you rising signs is you could be losing your SHIT at some situation in your life, losing your head, right? Losing it. And you might even be losing it in a shrill way with pan right there, right? Pan, panic, shrill, losing your head. Why? And are you throwing weapons that are the armorer has created? And who are you tossing them at? So watch this moon, particularly around the 16th, for the potential for that kind of crazy behavior by you. I think that with Venus in the second house of money and earnings and resources, along with Shock and Awe Uranus, yes, you might have some surprises around money connected to something in your reality, but this is a lunation in the sign that you are. And a lot of this is about your how you approach your life, whether it's your career, your home, Taurus moon, or your own body. There's no real harm here. Mars is not activating anything to cause you physical harm, but there is definitely a potential for really hard communications with Mercury there, where you're losing it and you're lobbing these messages that are like losing your mind, losing your head at a spouse, at a parental figure, at a boss. So be careful with that, please. I do want to say that the good news is that Jupiter was loving up the moon just before the actual new moon. And there could be some interesting news and positive developments around the potential for increased wealth connected to businesses, whether they're online or local, or businesses connected to social media landscape and your own success. I mean, and there's a possibility some really big breakthroughs and changes coming off of this moon that surprise you, connected to where you live and your home, just because of, the fate god Prem Zeus is down there in your Leo house, and the sun is a ruler of your 4th house, and major fated destined changes coming through the sky. You got a lot going on in that 12th house. I wonder if some of you are quitting addictions or thinking of moving to another place far from where you currently live. This moon could kickstart you to just up and go. I'm like, out of here. I'm moving. See you later, everybody. Going off to Siberia. I'll check you out. Foreign lands and distant shores, moves and home, fated and destined. I can see you going there, some Tauruses, for sure. This is a short video. I'm giving you that. I'll be doing much longer deep dives as we get closer to the 16th. This is the preview video. When we look at this moon for a Gemini sun, moon, and rising sign, certainly it's subtle. Do not stress out too much, unless, of course, it involves a hidden enemy. That's kind of the 12th house, or major sort of difficulties or turning around, dramatic stories connected to your digital income, borderless revenue stories. However, you're very protected by Venus in your sign at this time. And in that case, I'm not as worried as I would be otherwise. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. It's inner life. It's subtle. It's got Mercury, the god of dreams, and a house of dreams, and even squaring Chariklo in the temples of Asclepius dream temple. So certainly healing dreams can come through, and sort of almost like you lose your head because it's so powerful. Healing dreams, healing meditations, guiding dreams, unconditional, non-judgmental love. So Venus is giving you a glow and a protection right now. And so whatever's going on in the 12th house could be very deep psychological, spiritual stuff. It may really play out in dreams, meditations, inner landscape rather than in the real world. Alcohol is a connected to the star. Algol, alcohol, it comes from the root word from the Arabic language, I believe. And so for you, it can literally look like a turning point of some kind regarding alcohol. It could look like that here because of Jupiter's support from the things that you put in your mouth or nose that shouldn't be ingested through your face. So there can be a nice turning point around alcohol addiction in particular, if you have struggled with that at all. And a little volcano in the career, nothing like a volcano in your career taken off. And you have some career eruptions, and they may actually be good because of the sextile, especially if you make money in digital income, borderless revenue. And a nice surge of money may come from this moon mid-May, add, a couple of weeks. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign, you have a story where there is a Algol star, new moon, new beginning in your 11th house of good spirit, good house, safe house, nice house. Mercury, there got some news and information to give you. Cancer can be a little volcanic, though, especially if it involves things to do with spiritual life, churches, foreign land travel, and distant shores, or legal judgments. And it could involve wealth, but it can also involve someone losing their head. And it may not be you, because the 11th house is your friendship circles. It's also your sibling one older. It's also people that you connect to through your social groups of belonging, the book club and stuff. So yeah, on a temporary note, somebody could lose their head, but it doesn't seem to harm you. You got Jupiter protecting you. You're in good stead. You've got it all together. You have figured it out, and you do want to hold on to that Jupiter. He's protecting you and all is well. With Wuhan here, maybe you're going to have a personal revolution, but I don't think so. I think it's kind of like, okay, this person's going through something, a friend or something like that. And it may not even be about you, right? It could be about any other person. Mercury's there and just rules that generic house of siblings. And therefore, a sibling may experience a major exciting time. It could be exciting or challenging time. And maybe with Venus in the house of hospitals and Uranus, an unexpected development in the life of a sibling, use the word hospitals. It may not even be there in the hospital. It could be someone in their family, their spouse, that thing. But I just want to say, otherwise, it could be worse. Uranus isn't in Taurus, right? So unexpectedly intense energy, though, because of the squares that are ongoing here. I would say new beginnings, you can seed or plant something in the 11th house as a wish or a dream or a long-range goal. And to harness that energy for what it is you wish to accomplish financially in your career, and put a peg on it, like on a map, and aim for it, because this could also be a seed of a new wealth structure and strategy for how you increase your gains from your career over the next 6 months. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising. I think I need a nap. Leo, it looks to me like the energy of Algol is being activated in your 10th house. Certainly, if you have a midheaven around 25, 26, 27, Taurus, just like Vance, but mostly Donald Trump, holy man, or the son of the nation of I at 23 or odd degrees of Taurus, which means it's leadership. There's something here for you. There's something here for you. Like, there is some big stuff going on if your midheaven's up here near that star. Big changes in your career path, big exciting changes, maybe even because of Uranus, Venus in the house of career gains. And you might be exhilarated and really enthused by what changes are happening in work, profession, and career, rather than alarmed. But decapitation star, are you going to quit your job? Are you going to get quitted because they fire you? Is your boss going to get fired? What the heck is that? Why is there a little Pan, the guy, the forest god there? What's he doing in your career house with all of that story? Pandemonium, panic, pandemic in your career? I don't think so. Let me know what happens. It could be a surge of anxiety or fear that, like, say you get a new job, this guy can give you a new job, right? Venus is like, I'll get you a new job. You've been working on it for a while, according to this chart. And you might just be freaked out a bit that you can't, oh my God, am I qualified? And, the square to the Pluto slash Chariklo, could it involve divorce settlements and breakups? And are you finding that you're able to access unconditional, non-judgmental love in the midst of a messy and very public ending to a long-term relationship? That could be something you're dealing with emotionally at this time. Your emotions can be connected to this part of the chart, seventh house. I think that, the Pluto story with Chariklo would be very good for you to address a shadow material when it comes to committed relationship, marriage, and long-term love, and find the non-judgmental inner healing of Chariklo within oneself. Okay, that's the kind of thing if you're dealing with rejection, loss, betrayal, abandonment, obsession, compulsion, all these kinds of weird things that can happen. There's a healing archetype within this for any of you Leos going through that story. And Pramzeus is here asking you to consider that certain events in your life are fated. This has a bit of that going on that could look like, separation of assets, legal recourse, divorce settlements and stuff, or shadow work regarding committed long-term love being dealt up from the new moon in the sign of Taurus on the 16th of May. Hey, Virgo, sun, moon, and of course, rising sign. What do we got going in the sky? The ninth house is lit with this Algol star new moon, a little bit of the, Hephaestus, the weaponry of the gods, maker of the weapons. But, he can also be an artisan and he can be crafting something beautiful. And a little bit of Mercury for information and a little bit of pandemonium here. Now, I think this is a collective story with the panic button, so don't worry. I said, probably get my graphics guy to do a panic button. I think you're going to find this is probably a new beginning when it comes to your goals and your long-term plans for your life, the way you envision what it is you're here to achieve. And Jupiter in the house of those wishes and goals flowing to this moon suggests you're aligning with Dharma. You're looking for the alignment with your calling or your purpose. That's the focus. However, if you have travel plans internationally, and that's been an agenda for you, I'm wondering if there's some fated disruptions to your travel plans. Okay. There's like a volcanic explosion that cuts them off, especially if the travel plans involved a significant spouse-like partner. What disrupts your travel plans in the life of you and a partner? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are some unexpected volcanic explosions in your long-term love life that could lead to travel plan changes that you weren't anticipating. I do not mind this as a new beginning if you want to investigate applying for school at a college or university. Mercury is the applications guy. I could think you could do a new beginning in a new moon here. That's what your job and your profession. Venus is with Uranus, surprise, shock, exhilaration, uplift, breakthrough when it comes to your professional endeavors. And this is also Venus Mars and at Tango. We'll be doing that in the weekly. I bet you could get a new job off of this job offer. And so maybe what we're looking at in the ninth house is a job offer with more money and Jupiter in the 11th align with your deeper purpose for those of you looking for work. And often, ninth house is the human resource department or those people who headhunt. So it could look like some of the Virgos looking for a new alignment in work could find themselves finding a new alignment in work and a new opportunity as well in work. I like that a lot. I think that's feasible for some of you who are already on the hunt or know that it's time for you to move, right? Mercury rules your 10th house and Venus is there, and Venus rules the ninth house, and there's a nice little mutual reception between those planets. So could look like some new work for sure. I should have led with the mutual reception. Oh, well, I'll bring it up in my second video that I do. I'm just too tired to even talk about it. Libra, Venus is the lord of a lunation, that she's the lord of you in your 8th house of chunky money on a wealth star called Algol. Algol is literally the guy who's got the money, but he's also got the decapitation and he's got the, Medusa story. And not always the easiest one. There can be some financial stories that aren't so difficult because of the mutual reception between Venus and the ninth. And it could look like money through courts or judges for sure, or money coming to you in a chunk through matters connected to Depends on where you are in your career. If you're applying for a new job through getting a new job, like you hear that you're going to be hired and Jupiter is activating a potential uplift in your position, your money, or your wealth through work, but it's going to come in a chunk. So a commission check, a sign-on bonus. Deeper than that, Algol is kind of like, oh yeah, like are we looking deeper at our betrayal, abandonment, and our wounds around addictions and alcohol in particular? Do we have something in that story? Mercury is with the moon, rules the house of self-undoing. Pluto in the house of pleasure. What obsessive pleasures may you have engaged in that are not good for your soul? I don't care what it is, having a toke now and then or having one every day. Like make an assessment of where you're at here. For some of you, it could be a very big, decapitating turning point of change where you're no longer going to abide by that old pattern. Let's put it that way. Especially Venus, Uranus energy. It could be a guide, a counselor, a mentor, a psychologist, a teacher, a healer who is going to set you straight and get you off of the path of self-undoing addictions and bad habits. Not too shabby for a book publishing deal. Mercury and Venus in this reception mean you're going to get an advance on your book even. Yes, it's a lovely book publishing deal or good terms for a book publishing opportunity for anybody who is, of course, in that industry or thinking of going in that direction. This moon can unfold that truly in the approximate time frame and over the next 6 months. Try to find some unconditional love around the fifth house story, maybe for your kids, non-judgmental love for your children or your lover. That would be a good idea. I'm coming right back, but it's 1,000 degrees in here. I don't care. Estella, don't worry about editing this. She's my amazing video editor. It doesn't really matter. It's okay if I just walk away to it's like 80 degrees in Vancouver today. We're going to have a El Nino, super El Nino, and it's going to be scorching hot this summer. And only good news is I'm moving to a place with air conditioning. You could have a little bit of faded luck financially off of this, okay? I'm not going to go through all of the reasons why. And you could come into some money through your in-laws as well, including inheritance through your in-laws off of this new moon. Scorpio new moon. It's going to happen. And on the Algol star in your house of long-term committed love, relationships, clients, audience in the marketplace. Watch for someone to lose their mind, right? Lose their head, fly off the handle near this moon. Watch for your spouse if you have one. Watch for your business partner, colleague, someone important to you, business, across the way, kaboom. Watch out for their overreaction to a situation, even a feeling like they're panicking and maybe throwing some thunderbolts of Zeus at you. Or communicating in harsh weaponry ways that, make you want to duck. That's what I'm getting, okay? It's not about you. It's something about them. And you're going to have to just go through it. Now, the energy of the unconditional love that's, down there, the Characlo, non-judgmental fourth house, domestic energy. Certainly there's a blowout. It looks like an interpersonal blowout with your partner or someone you're living with. It looks like it's going to probably blow over, but you should ask yourself what it really means. Why is it happening? What is the lesson that you're supposed to learn? And with Venus in the eighth house ruling the moon and in a mutual reception to Mercury, maybe it's about your shared resources and money and savings and financial stuff between you and a partner that is at the source of this discomfort, this building on this lunation. But Jupiter's trying to soothe it and was trying to soothe it before the blow up. So if you're going through a divorce settlement, that I can see that with Jupiter in the house of courts. But justice will prevail. But if it's not that, you could be also dealing with a situation where you are, see, Vladimir Putin's a Scorpio rising. So what's he dealing with in the house of open enemies that Jupiter's trying to soothe in the house of international? Yeah, so there you go. Putin won't be losing his mind or shit. It will be his open enemies, right? Whoever they are. And by the way, Taurus is the son of Israel. So yeah, watch out for that. Sorry to get world politics into your section, Scorpio. Will you forgive me or will you troll me in the comments? Probably troll me in the comments. There's a volcanic eruption in the house of romantic love, children, long-term marriage partners, but the volcanic eruption may not be bad. It sextiles your seventh house. So, Mercury rules the house of good spirit, and it's also the house of windfalls and pennies from heaven. And volcanic eruption is in the house of winning money. And maybe your partner, not you, is going to be winning money. Venus is in the house of chunky money. So there's that. There's money there to be had in them there planets. And I think that the way that I like the story more than I dislike the story is that the eighth house can be very subtle too. It can, if it's not like disrupting your taxes, your finances, your banking, your loans, your mortgages. And I'm not sure this chart's doing that at all. that is giving you some deep soul inclinations of liberation from the matrix. Venus rules your full Monty liberation, 12th house. Uranus can be a lightning bolt of spontaneous awakening, and it's connected to things that are going on with somebody else in your life. Okay, their stories can catapult you to some spiritual renewal, insight, or illumination. We'll read the 4 agreements. Take nothing personally, right? Because that might be your best advice for this moon. It could be a troll. It could be, an open enemy just going full bore at you. Take nothing personally. Okay, I think we need to move past your story and see what is happening for Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, you look like you're going to be algoling out with a new moon in your 6th house of debts. And this is a money star too. So major changes, hopefully not panic with pandemonium, panic there about debt situations. Let's get the moon back into the right place. I'm going to have to move back a day to do that. Okay. But trust me, the moon's on the 16th. You could be having some kind of like crisis moment regarding money you owe or money owed to you, right? So debts, indebtedness, money, paying, servicing debt, and news or information. But the panic part is the pan makes me concerned that it's going to make you feel anxious. It may have to do with mortgages, land, property, and real estate. All right. Because of the volcano and the 4th, Jupiter's attending to banks, loans, banking, mortgages, financial industries as well here. Certainly be careful in the stock market under this kind of sky. And also if there's some debt situations regarding a property that you own and money connected to financing, then there is something to consider here that you might want to pay attention to before a panic sets in. Okay, check your numbers, check your books, make sure you're renewed, make sure you paid your mortgage, make sure everything's all tidied up there. Don't need to surprise yourself unpleasantly under the sky. Don't think you need to do that. What's fated and destined that must happen is unfortunately in the 9th house. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's in the 9th house. And the 9th house could be about courts and judges and fate and destiny, especially regarding debts and indebtedness. Mercury's in a mutual reception to Venus in your 7th house. Maybe some unexpected events revolving around a significant long-term committed love partner and health and money and debts. Unexpected opportunity to rent a property and an unexpected opportunity to procure a pet. Those are vibes going on here with the volcanic eruption in the 4th and vis-a-vis the 5th house. Watch for all of those to be potentially true near or on this moon and in the 2 weeks that follow. If I were you, Jupiter, the Lord of your sign, is not paying attention to you at all, but he is shoring up your finances, especially those investments and those longer range money and things you might get through royalty income or investment income or retirement investment income. There's some attempt to solidify that, but there's still a possibility because this is an inheritance position that you could come into some money here. The volcanic thing might be an eruption, like you didn't see it coming, but it's positive, right? Because you have more money. Going through a divorce, there's some definite disturbances here around money, unexpected volcanic eruptions around money, and debts and who owes what and who gets the pet and who gets this and who gets that. Kaboom! Very big energy. They could really pivot things for you around this particular moon. Don't worry, Jupiter's moving into Leo and will fave you in anything to do with courts at the end of June, add a year. So breathe through this shorter window of despair. It could be a preamble of anxiety about separation and divorce considerations or family inheritance monies and legalities through the days rather than the hours. Hey, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Hope you're enjoying the speed. This is like speed dating with you guys. I'm speed dating through the signs. This girl needs to make a homemade pizza, sit in the sun, relax, and open a bottle of rosé that I bought to cope with reality. I do love my work. I really do. I especially love teaching. I can't wait to teach these classes, but I do have to say that sometimes the pace can be rather wearying. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. A lot of planets are happening here for you in that 5th house. Well, asteroids too. So Pan and Hephaestus and Mercury and a new moon, new beginning on the star Algol. Now, if you have a romantic dating partner, you're not married, okay? You're dating, you're having sex, you're not committed, you're not like cohabiting. There is someone's losing their head. Someone's going to blow up here. Same with your children. They belong to the 5th house. They could lose their head and have a moment. You know what I mean? Where they're off the rails. So the lover, the children, off the rails energy. Mercury, he's got news to deliver, conversations to have, emails to send. So you might want to duck from those children and lovers if there's any of them that could lose their self and get angry or send some harsh energy at you. Algol, to decapitate or lose one's head or to have difficulty here, especially if you have a planet near 25 degrees of Taurus in your fifth house. Look to the meaning of that planet, of course. I feel like what you're going to deal with here is probably something to do with, it can't do with money. This is a money house, but it's good fortune. And with panic and Algol, which is a wealth star, and Mercury ruling your many things, ruling your sixth house of work and debts, ruling your ninth house of courts and legal affairs, but sextiling Jupiter. Okay. Unexpected developments maybe, or, and I don't know, money developments with a sibling, 3 older or 3 younger, matters connected to work and money, debts and elimination of debts perhaps in a fated and destined way. But, I will say but, your Lord Saturn has fallen right now, not in good shape in the 4th house. Mars is ambitious and cutting cords to do with domestic life and home and childhood and moons of the childhood. But this moon is like wanting to initiate a new beginning. And it is a wealth star, and it can be a good thing. It can be that with Mars entering there by the 18th, 19th of the month, you want to start an entrepreneurial business, right? So that can be a part of the new beginning. The mutual reception here between Mercury and Venus, good fortune and lucky breaks connected to work opportunities would be an example for you, or debt relief. Jupiter loved up this moon before it went into the sun and became new. And so there may be some positive developments going on if you're married in the life of a long-term committed love partner, somebody that you consider to be your person. And there may be some really interesting things happening for them to do with goodness and money and even career gains. Maybe it's not your story. But if someone's going to lose your head as a person, children, young or old, and romantic, sexual, dating level partners. Watch for volcanic explosions from siblings and also from cousins and extended family, volcano in your 3rd house. There's financial stories going on connected to finding that unconditional, non-judgmental love for yourself, your self-love, self-worth, because it's in your house of values, but also money. Do you have an opportunity to unconditionally, non-judgmentally support somebody through a difficult time? Maybe. And maybe you'll apply some money to your level of support. And Venus can translate this to a career opportunity that feels fortunate. The moon rules your spouse, right? So spouse is going through it, or spouse is dealing with the situation in their life, especially if they have a sibling one older. But there's secrets involved with Pramzia. So watch for also spousal secrets coming through to do with sexuality, romance, hopefully not infidelities and betrayals. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign, I am one of you. And I think that this sky is telling me that I need to teach more and talk less. It is very cool to see that we have a very beautiful energy holding hands with you and I and me and us. It is Chariklo, the healing, unconditional, non-judgmental love of the wife of Chiron, and not letting your mind be limited by apparent appearances of what's real and not. We're seeing our reality through this unconditional love archetype. And so let's all shake hands and say, non-judgmental, unconditional kindness is something we're trying to use right now as Aquarius risings. And she's been here for a while. So that's been our new operating system. And we might come into conflict with a situation of some sort or an event connected to our domicile and 4th house. It makes us feel a little panicky, right? Information or news that makes us feel a little panicky about our home. And the decapitation thing is interesting because obviously someone we live with might lose it, right? They could start yelling at us. And, we're talking about May 16th, add a couple of weeks, right? They could lose it. They could start yelling and arguing with us, or for sure. And the sun is the ruler of a committed spousal relationship, or, that energy. So you have to watch for spousal, domestic, collaborative people, you and them, but probably them losing their cool with you around the moon, a day or two before, up to 2 weeks after. So forewarned is forearmed. I mean, Hephaestus could be word arrows being slung at you. You could also be looking at Venus in the fifth house of good fortune and in a mutual reception to Mercury in her kingdom as news or information regarding one of your children, a romantic love partner that makes you feel panicky and will impact your domestic life. On the other hand, Uranus and Venus can help you win money like a lottery ticket. And Mercury would say it has something to do with real estate, property, and home. And maybe it's not so much the decapitation part of the star, but the wealth part of Algol, this particular star. Jupiter, who could help pay off all your debts or help you find amazing job success and career success, is loving up this moon just before it went into a complete new moon phase. And so there's a Jupiterian overlay. You may be revolutionizing your work and work routines in and from and connected to your home. That's an example. And with the volcanic energy, like a volcano sextiling from the income, there could be a surge of money that you take possession of. It doesn't have to be job income either. It could be just your pocketbook or wallet can surge financially in some unexpected or volcanic explosive way. It's that mutual reception with Venus that makes me wonder, and she exalts your second house. If you're not going to feel like really excited that you might have come into what feels like a windfall, it may not literally be a windfall, but you feel financially like something good is trying to happen. Now, I don't want to make us have the happy stories and everybody else have scary ones. Something goes wrong in a situation regarding your home, connected to things that you had planned, connected to other people, or connected to rental properties, or finances connected to home and domicile. Now, Mercury rules your house of mortgages and loans and investments. And yeah, maybe we're going to see something about money, loans, and investments that's unexpected, but it could be positive. Like maybe you suddenly have enough money to buy a house and you never had it before. And that could be a surge of wealth that is connected to being able to leverage your money and purchase homes or property. All right. So there's lots of ways it can go. You could even try to sell your property, make some money off of this in that mutual reception. It wouldn't be a bad time to list a property, actually, and maybe get a very wealthy outcome, more than you imagined, surprising you. So listing a property or just an offer and a sale coming through wouldn't surprise me in a faded Pabzius and Dustin way. Finally, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You guys are so patient with my speed. Thank you for your kindness. You can slow me down if you need to, but this has been a difficult one to do because I know that this is a difficult moon for the world. So I'm trying to make some lemonade for us out of the lemons of this moon. So we have the new moon, new beginning in the third house. This is your social media landscape. If you're making money online in any way, writing, teaching, marketing, selling, promoting, social media, this is a wealth star. And Mercury is commerce and commercial stories. I don't know why the pan and the panic energy is there, pandemonium. Pan could be an ecstatic infusion of energy, like a delirium, like a Dionysian energy, where you're going for it with a kind of ambitious delirium and making money in that area of the chart for sure. And there's a volcanic explosion, but you're the explosion. You're the volcano, or you're the one with some thunderbolts to throw. Watch out that you don't throw your thunderbolts. So whatever that is, as somebody that is in your home, I mean, Venus is in mutual reception to your third house. She's in Mercury's house, and Mercury's in her house. And there's a hotline between the third and the fourth. There's stuff with siblings and home, unexpected developments with siblings and home, unexpected developments regarding travel and home and siblings, unexpected and surprising developments regarding a spouse and home and travel, a spouse and money and home. I mean, Venus is really intent. She exalts you, to make your home beautiful, your home enjoyable, to make money from home. And, the moon talked to Jupiter just before the new moon became exact. And Jupiter wants to bring you good fortune. And you want to do it in the online writing, teaching, marketing, selling area, including book publishing. All right. So especially as Mars around the 18th, 19th ingresses into your third house and activates your ninth house of publishing across the way. These areas can be very, very positive. I'm concerned with the south node in the house of your spouse or long-term love partner. I didn't draw it in there, but it's there. That there's something going on that's difficult in the life of your partner. And then this can be some really intense energy in their story, not even yours. It could involve a sibling 2 older or 4 younger in the life of your partner. It could be involving a cousin or an extended relative in their life or something like that, or even your in-laws under the sky, for goodness sakes, not their in-laws, yours. So there's a derivative part of this story. I mean, Mercury is there and he rules your spouse, and South-Node moving through the house of the spouse, which sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. So if it's not about siblings and all the other things I said, then it's in travel and romantic partner and wealth and opportunity and online success, then there may be an explosive event going on here connected to your home life, domestic life, and your spouse. All right. And maybe even with Mercury and the moon squaring unconditional love, healing, and all of that in the house of hospitals, maybe there's going to be a dastardly time and a spouse has to go into a medical facility coming off of this moon. However, I'm wondering if charcoal can help smooth the waters and provide the healing. She is the wife of Chiron, the healer. Well, I actually pulled that baby off just in time to go have my glass of rosé from France, sit on the sun, and eat a pizza that I'm making all by myself. If I'm looking for a relationship, I put a new qualifier on that because I wrote something in Substack and I had a few applicants. I'm going to tell you that if I'm looking for a new relationship and you're listening to this, it's somebody who lives in Vancouver. Okay. This is my hometown and I'm not interested in traveling all around the world in order to be in a relationship. That's pretty clear for me as somebody at 64 who just like to meet somebody locally. But if you're in Vancouver and you're listening, or in the outskirts of Vancouver and you think you got someone you would blind date me with, I'm happy to try. I'm not desperate for a relationship, guys, at all. I've been with somebody 2 years out of the last, few, and we're good friends. And I just would be nice to have a sidekick and a companion and someone to journey with. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. And check the description box below for everything you need to know that I'm up to, including my website. People often come my comments, you're like, oh, do you do readings? Like everything. My website, you go to it, it says, no, I'm not doing readings. Go check the description box for the multiple links to all of the things that I do. All right. I love you guys. Ciao. Bye.
Lunatic astrology.